Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? You are back in Spanish class with Professor Jason, and today's lesson is on reflexive verbs because one of you, my students, requested this particular topic. Okay? So I'm going to explain a little bit the difference between regular verb constructions and reflexive constructions. Okay? Give you some examples and sort of point you in the right direction on reflexive verbs, I hope. What is a reflexive verb? Well, first of all, it might be helpful if you go back because we're going to contrast reflexive pronouns with the subject pronouns. So it might be helpful to go back and review my lesson on subject pronouns in Spanish and also the lesson on conjugation of regular present tense verbs, okay, because those will both be applicable to what we're talking about now, okay. The subject pronouns you already know, things like yo, I, tú, you, usted, él, ella, nosotros, ellos, ustedes. Those are the subject pronouns, okay? The reflexive pronouns are a little bit different. These are little words like me, te, se, nos, os, for example. Those are the reflexive pronouns, okay? So when do we use subject pronouns? When do we use reflexive pronouns, okay? Well, you can use subject and reflexive pronouns together, okay? We'll see examples of this. But what makes a construction reflexive, okay? Let's talk about the normal sequence of elements in a sentence in Spanish. Spanish has a syntax that's subject, verb, object, as does English. So you say, for example, I answer the phone. I is the subject, answers the verb, the phone's the object. In Spanish, it's pretty much the same. Yo contesto el teléfono. Yo is the subject. We have the subject pronoun yo. Contesto is the verb. El teléfono is the object, right? The telephone receives the action of the verb that's carried out by the subject. Subject, verb, object. In a reflexive construction, in the most common type of reflection constructions, what you have is a subject and a verb, but the object is the same entity or the same person as the subject. In other words, the person is doing something to his or herself. For example, in English we might say, he gets himself dressed, or she wakes herself up. Okay, we might say something like that. It's the idea of doing something to himself, herself, theirselves, ourselves, okay? The doer is also the receiver. That makes the construction reflexive. An example of this in Spanish might be something like, I bathe myself, I take a bath. Yo me baño, okay? I can just say me baño, or I can add the subject pronoun yo me baño, and I have the subject and the reflexive pronouns, okay? The point is, I do it to myself. Yo me baño, okay? In fact, speaking of taking a bath, a lot of the daily routine verbs in Spanish are reflexive. I'm going to give you a list of some of the most common ones, okay? Despertarse, to wake up in the morning. For example, me despierto, te despiertas, okay? Or levantarse, to actually get up out of bed. Me levanto, nos levantamos. Bañarse, to take a bath or to bathe, to take a shower. Secarse, to dry off afterward. Afeitarse, to shave oneself. Afeitarse, el hombre se afeita, okay? Lavarse los dientes, tú te lavas los dientes, to brush one's teeth. Vestirse or ponerse la ropa, to get dressed. Hopefully you can do this by yourself at this point in your life, right? I'm confident you can, okay? As well as quitarse la ropa or desvestirse, okay? Usually we do these things to ourselves, right? Acostarse is to go to bed, and dormirse is to fall asleep. So those are some daily routine verbs in which the person doing the verb is also the object of the action of the verb, okay, if that makes sense. I'm going to conjugate one of those daily routine verbs using all of the reflexive pronouns just so you can see how these would work, okay? I'm going to use the verb levantarse, to get up out of bed in the morning. Okay, here are some examples. Me levanto temprano, I get up early. Te levantas tarde, you get up late. Usted se levanta a las 6, you, formal, get up at 6. Julia se levanta a las 10, okay. Nosotros nos levantamos tarde. Notice here I have nosotros and the reflexive pronoun nos levantamos tarde. Okay. You can have both subject and reflexive pronouns. Vosotros os levantáis temprano. Ustedes se levantan a las 7. Ellos se levantan y desayunan. So here I have se levantan, which is reflexive, y desayunan, which normally is not. Okay. I've been showing you just now in these examples conjugated verbs, and when the verb is conjugated, the reflexive pronoun goes before it. Okay. But if the verb isn't conjugated, if it's left in the infinitive, the reflexive pronoun often will go after and attached to that unconjugated form. So look at the examples here. I need to get up early. Necesito levantarme temprano. Necesito levantarme temprano. She wants to go to bed. Ella quiere acostarse. So the subject pronoun se, may, etc. are tacked on to the end of the infinitive or unconjugated form. All right? Reflexive forms can also be used to make actions reciprocal, to say two or more people are doing something to each other. Okay? So a good example of this is the verb besarse, to kiss each other. I could say, Juan y María se besan. They kiss each other. Or similarly, abrazarse. It's a perfect example, right? Los dos hermanos se abrazan. They hug each other. Or escribirse. Mi mamá y yo nos escribimos. Okay? We write to each other. So far in this lesson, I've been conjugating the verbs in the present tense, but reflexive verbs can be conjugated in any tense. I could say, we will write to each other, we were going to write to each other. It would all be reflexive, just the tense and the endings would differ. Okay? Another category of reflexive verbs are verbs that indicate changes in physical or emotional states, such as to get sick, enfermarse, or to die, morirse, to sit up, right? Sentarse, change in your physical state. Enojarse, to get mad. Alegrarse, to get happy, to be happy. Or asustarse, to be scared. Those are verbs that are commonly used with reflexive pronouns, okay? And there are some other verbs that I explain to my students just are reflexive. And this means when you hear native speakers of Spanish conjugate these verbs, they always tack on a reflexive pronoun. An example would be casarse, to get married, okay? Romeo y Julieta se casan, okay? Or preocuparse, to be worried. Yo me preocupo por usted. I get worried, I'm worried about you. Me preocupo, okay? Jactarse, to brag or to boast, is also usually reflexive. So there's some verbs that just are reflexive, okay? So try to remember those four types of reflexive verbs, right? When the subject is also the object, when the subject does something to his or herself, those are typified by those daily routine verbs. Okay, when the verb is reciprocal, when the subject, one subject and another do something to each other or for one another. Okay, when we're talking about verbs that indicate changes in physical or emotional states, like to get upset, to get sick, okay, to get better, mejorarse, or just that fourth category of verbs that can be frustrating, right, when you're learning the language, verbs that just are reflexive. Okay. So if you're out there talking to native speakers of Spanish and you hear somebody say, me comí el sándwich, me lo comí. Comer is not always used reflexively, but that person is using it with a reflexive pronoun, me lo comí. Okay? So just be aware that sometimes native speakers just do use verbs reflexively, and that's okay, right? Anyways, I hope this lesson's been useful. It's just a really quick overview of the reflexive verbs. If you need more time, your remedy is to rewind and review. So that was the lesson on reflexive verbs. I am going to despedirme, another reflexive verb to say goodbye. Me despido entonces. Hasta luego. Chao. Y nos vemos.